Don't leave me hanging. It's go time.
Hey everybody, this is Josh, and welcome to another fantastic game of StarCraft 2. This one is going to be played once again between Evil Genius's IdrA. He is the red Zerg up here on the top spawn of Metalopolis, and his opponent today is Liquid TLO, the blue Terran down on the bottom spawn. This is the MLG version of Metalopolis. I hope both of these players realize that. Basically all it means, though, is that they cannot get those close running positions, and look at TLO's workers again, bouncing only to the slightly closer mineral patches here before actually spreading to the I think these are going to be next, and these are considered to be the farthest away. If you just eyeball it, you can kind of see why he would do this, but I don't really know the mathematics behind it at all. I don't know how many seconds it takes or how many minerals you need to actually mine before it makes a huge difference, before you can afford, say, an extra marine or something like that. But, you know, it doesn't take much effort. TLO is just going to do it anyway, so we'll see how it actually works out for him. He's got 2 on every patch now and 1 building a supply depot, so we'll see where this one goes. He does have a rallied to that far patch and then switched it over to this one. Interesting. So yeah, TLO's workers are very fascinating and all that, but TLO is actually going to scout this close flying position. He's going to see that there's no creep. He knows exactly where IdrA is now. IdrA in the same boat sent that overlord there with the close flying positions. Not going to see any sort of supply depots or command centers or anything like that. So both players do know exactly where their enemies are located. IdrA looks like he is going to go hatch first, and he will get there just in time before TLO's SCV arrives. TLO, of course, going to gain this valuable knowledge that IdrA is going hatch first. On Zelnaga Caverns, we saw him drop gas and then spawning pool. Let's see if he tries to repeat that build. TLO, on the other hand, just getting his first barracks up at a very standard timing. He did not build a refinery just yet, and you probably would have seen one by now if he wasn't doing a 7 racks build, but we'll see if he does it again, or if this is just some sort of 2 racks, or perhaps even a 2 racks expand, something like that. We'll see if he switches it up. This is not the best map for the 7 racks. It is quite a bit longer run distance for those many Marines to try and get over here, but he is doing a bunker placement here, and he is getting his orbital command made up now. Still 0 gas for TLO. IdrA did drop a spawning pool and then that assimilator, or extractor, excuse me, but it looks like he's responding quite quickly to this bunker rush, and it does suck to have to lose all that mining time, but it sucks way worse to die to a bunker rush that you could have prevented. So IdrA just picking the lesser of the 2 evils. Looks like TLO did cancel the bunker completely and is just going to head home now with his brave little SCV, but nothing exciting happening in TLO's base. He is saving up 400 minerals, it looks like, so 1 racks expand probably going to be his build of choice, and yeah, it's already being built directly at the natural. I was looking for it somewhere in the main, because some players do that. They'll build the command center, get it switched over to an orbital command, and then float it over to that natural, but not TLO. He's just going to build it right there, because he knows IdrA is a very conservative player. He's going to wait a long time before he does any sort of attack, for the most part, and he was just over there and didn't see any lings or anything, so I think TLO feels a bit safe just dropping it immediately at the expansion. He's got 2 Marines wandering around the map. Are they going to see this Overlord? Yeah, they're going to see the Overlord, and they're definitely going to go kill that guy, because there's no reason not to, and it's super easy and fun. Can you imagine you and your buddy, your Marines, in the Terran army, you're just walking around, you're like, hey, look, a defenseless Overlord. It's like Christmas, because you know there's no threat of you actually dying. You're doing a huge service to your team, to your faction, the Terrans back at home, and you can just walk right back home and not be dead. But TLO, these little guys are going to be a little less fortunate than all that. It looks like they're going to continue hunting for more Overlords or Zerglings or something like that, but we'll see what they actually end up doing. TLO has 3 barracks complete now. His couple of Marines just stopping at the Zelnaga Tower, seeing what they can see. There are 3 Marines already waiting here at the ramp for TLO, so they should be able to stop these Zerglings before they kill the SCV. Run, little SCV. Zergling speed, only about 20% done, so these Marines should have an easy time killing these guys off if they choose to pursue. He does have these 2 Marines still here from the beginning where they killed the Overlord, so they actually will be able to do a scissor technique here and destroy the Zerg threat. Look at that. So these 2 little guys are just thrilled with their lives right now. They have 3 kills between them, and they get to return safely home. Such a great feeling to be a Marine with 2 kills and just get to go home. Like, end of deployment, you're done. I mean, granted, the Zerg threat is still here, and I'm sure that Marine will be dead before the end of the game, but I'm sure it was just a nice little trip for those guys. And that's enough about the 2 little Marines. I don't care anymore. Barracks number 4 coming up now. TLO has a second orbital command done. Let's look at the harvester count. IdrA and his drones, he just loves them to bits. So he's up by 10 harvesters already. Now only 8. Now only 7. So TLO continues to build harvesters, and IdrA, of course, has to turn them into buildings like the Baneling Nest, like this extractor, building 5 more drones now to replace those guys and more. He's getting a lair, which we just saw earlier, throbbing and pulsing and being relatively gross. Kind of looks like intestines piled onto a creep tumor, in my opinion, but and it's got little claws or teeth or something. I'm not sure if those are meant to be defensive or what, but they don't actually defend much of anything. Baneling Nest and Lair both finished at the exact same moment, so probably going to be seeing a Spire coming up here next, as Baneling, Ling, and Mutalisk is great against Terrans of all ages and styles. Spire does come up there in the production tab, not a surprise at all. And IdrA being such a predictable player, TLO is probably like, alright, he's probably getting a Spire now. What is TLO going to do about it, though? If he knows how predictable IdrA is, he doesn't really need to spend too much effort trying to scan or run over there and see what he's building or anything like that, but he will need to build the proper counters to that Baneling Ling Muta if he knows it's coming. Factory being built, second factory being built, third factory being built, because he's already got one finished. There's no starport up anywhere that I can see, which is kind of interesting, and he is moving with quite a lot of Marines over here. He actually had more than this by the 5-minute mark in that last game, but he's looking to do some damage, it looks like. IdrA has 47 drones up right now, which means he only has 16 supply worth of army, including this queen here. So it could be kind of difficult to deal with this. Banelings are starting to morph now. Oh, look at this TLO with such good timing, catching that drone right as he was going over to build that hatch. So we do have Banelings starting to morph now. If TLO catches this, it'll be very, very fortunate for him. He's taking a few shots at things left and right, not actually killing anything, but now that he's in the drone line, he's doing a lot of damage. Baneling crashes in there, kills like 4 Marines, bunch of Speedlings coming in from the back, so these Marines are basically dead no matter what. And TLO, not really a great trade-off there. Harvester count down to 41 for IdrA now, so he did kill some drones, we saw that, but then he lost, how many Marines was that? Something like 14 or 15. I think IdrA is happy with that exchange, and he has more units lost at this point in the game, but now he can do a counterattack, and let's see what these Speedlings are actually able to achieve. They move in here, there are 2 Hellions lying in wait, 4 Hellions now, so of course these Lings are just going to run back home. They don't want to tango or tangle with these 4 Hellions waiting at TLO's naturals. He's got some Mutalisks up in the air now. Those are going to be able to destroy those Hellions, no problemo. He's got an Evolution Chamber coming up as well, so we can start getting some melee attack and armor upgrades, most likely. Probably armor first, if I had to guess, but these 5 Hellions basically just screwed. They are not happy with their life decision to become a Hellion pilot or driver, but here we go. All these Mutalisks coming in here. TLO does have 14 Marines and a couple of turrets already in place, so the Mutalisks will not be able to do much economic damage. Good thing for TLO. However, IdrA is about to pull ahead here. If he's not already ahead on Harvesters, he will be soon with this third hatchery on the way. Gas and minerals both very, very even for our players so far. IdrA has good map coverage right now. He's got Overlords in some key positions. He's got these Mutalisks over here making sure TLO doesn't expand a second time and get up on 3 bases. There are a lot of Marines though here, so if he wants to crack this shell, he's going to need a lot more units. TLO actually ahead in supply, 105 to 99, which I think is rather interesting. IdrA still just droning up, and he's pinging something here. Probably this +1 weapon upgrade, I guess, but yeah, we have a production tab for that. 3 Thors being built. That is a bit more interesting than anything you would have pinged. Liquid TLO with his Collector's Edition Thors. I love it. You barely ever see it in pro games. And I'm just glad that somebody besides myself has these Collector's Edition Gundams, I mean Thors. And lots of Mutalisks here. Hellions just taking control of that Zelnaga tower. IdrA sort of being forced into building some more units and making 20 Zerglings. Those do actually decently against the Thors, because even though Thors do a ton of damage, they fire kind of slowly. So if you can get a million billion Lings trying to kill 3 Thors and wrap all the way around them and send wave after wave at them, it can be pretty good. And TLO doesn't have any siege tanks actually to blast down those waves of Lings, so let's see how his Mutaling Bling does against all of these Thors. Siege tech is on the way now, of course, so as I say that, and a 3rd command center is being built, so soon he will be able to expand over here at that natural 3rd, or that plausible 3rd. What's going on over here? Our big flock of mutas look like they are getting a little bit antsy and want to go try and kill some stuff. Weapons level 2 coming along for both Bio and Mech here for TLO. Melee attacks level 1 about to complete for IdrA, so those Banelings and Speedlings will be able to do a lot of damage. Barracks lifts up. I have to imagine, though, that it's going to get destroyed. Nope, at least going to scare TLO, though, into repairing it. And yeah, TLO started to move out there. We got a little bit indecisive once these mutas were in his base, so IdrA hit upon sort of a lucky timing there, making TLO sort of retreat from his planned attack. Overlord pooping creep here means that that command center will be just a tad bit slower than it would otherwise be, so I like that move, as long as he can afford to lose that Overlord. And if I look at supply, it looks like he is pretty safe in that regard. Back at IdrA's base, yeah, just that lair, just the Mutaling Bling still for IdrA. He's finally passed TLO on supply, 159 to 152. He's got quite a lot of Mutalisks in the air here, so unless he hits upon that huge clump of Thors and Marines, he should be pretty good here. Killing off a turret, killing off an SCV. Will he try to power down these turrets over here? No, it looks like he's just going to do some economic harassment, take out that refinery. Maybe even take out the second refinery before heading home. Now that the Thors are here, he will want to get out of there before this heavy, heavy splash hits him. Only one Muta goes down there, not too big a deal. Is he going to kill that turret? Yes, he does, and just floats away with his flock of Mutalisks. IdrA up on 4 bases now. Let's look at the Harvester count. 67 drones for IdrA, 65 Harvesters for TLO. He's got 3 of them just chilling here for no reason, though. I'm not sure which command center those are being rallied from, but they are not doing him any good over there, and those Mutalisks are about to come slay them for free. 78 Harvesters against 64 now. How quickly things change in this game. Infestation Pit was dropped at some point. Hive coming along now. Pathogen Glands also being researched. TLO back at home, getting his 3rd. Totally secure, making it into a planetary fortress, getting up some turrets. He's got siege tanks. He's got Hellions. He's got these huge mobile turrets that do splash damage called the Thors. He probably has a couple in his main. Yes, he does, to actually protect against those Muta flybys. There are quite a lot of Mutas here. 18 of them, to be exact. TLO is now starting to move. He did leave 2 of those Thors at home, though, for defense, unless he's tagging along later than the rest of the group. And yeah, it looks like they're going to head out with these few remaining Marines. Let's take IdrA Vision real quick and see what he sees when these Hellions roll in. Start killing off some creep tumors. The scan is dropped right on top of those Mutas and a lot of Speedlings and Banelings. And here comes the rest of the mech. So IdrA lying in wait. Oh, this is going to be good. I have a feeling this is going to be good. I love it when... Oh, Infestor leading the charge here, fungling these Thors. Another Infestor coming in from the top, going to fungal, hopefully those Marines. No, it actually got killed off before it could do anything, but the tanks were still sieging when the flood of Zerglings hit, and now it's just explosions and blood everywhere. Green blasts of acid all over the place, and these Mutas are the only survivors, except for a couple of Thors, which are taken out very quickly. And suddenly IdrA has 165 supply, TLO down at only 100. And things suddenly look very good for Mr. IdrA. That fungal growth wasn't like the craziest thing ever, but it did sort of pin some units in place for IdrA to basically... Watching those Speedlings and Banelings and Mutalisks go through a huge line of mech and Marines like that reminds me of a knife through butter. A hot knife through butter, if you will. They just shred through, and by the time they go from point A to point B, there's nothing left in between of that Terran player's units. Both refineries taken out now, so that economic damage actually does make a difference when IdrA is getting 800 to 900 gas per minute and TLO is only getting 400. Gas, of course, lets you build these higher tech units, and we see a greater Spire morphing now for IdrA now that Hive is done, getting his adrenal glands for his little Speedling buddies. Couple Thors coming out still for TLO, but he's down by 50 supply still. It's going to be very hard for him to keep this base running here soon. IdrA's just going to power down these turrets. Not really worried about it as long as those Thors don't show up. There are 3 more turrets here, though, but he can safely hit yet another refinery. More economic damage for IdrA. He's happy with that. He's just going to float on home. His little flock of Mutas. Octo drop coming from TLO. He just stims up, runs in here. He is actually going to be able to potentially force a cancel here, but really not that big of a deal compared with what IdrA just did to his entire army. And all these Speedlings coming in now. TLO is going to have to pick those guys up. He's not going to be able to kill the hatchery. And he will just continue to drop, pick up, but doesn't look too good for this. On the whole, they did essentially 0 damage. The medevac goes down. Marines go down. Did buy him some time, I guess, to get some more Thors out on the field. 194 supply for IdrA. 154 for TLO, but now we have 5 Broodlords in the air and a million billion Mutalisks. I don't even care if that was an exaggeration. That's what it looked like when you see that many Mutalisks flapping their wings and all the shadows across the ground. These 5 Broodlords are going to be well taken care of. There's no real anti-air here except for a couple of Thors and a lot of Marines, but with this many Mutas and Speedlings on the ground, I have to say that this looks very scary for TLO. He's even at 163 supply, but just the unit composition here that IdrA has is very, very good. He's got Zerg Flyer Carapace level 1, which I think is interesting, and his melee units on the ground are at 2-0. All these Broodlings are like mean little Zerglings that just expire over time. Another barracks goes down. TLO now losing all his production structures, trying to posture himself over here on the left side, or actually on the right side, but a big fungal growth goes down on all those Marines. The Broodlord's still looking pretty solid here. Thors do not power down Broodlords nearly as fast as they do a big flock of Mutalisks, so TLO actually going to GG before IdrA kills everything off, but it was just an inevitability, a certainty, if you will, that IdrA was going to win that game in the next few seconds anyway. So excellent game. Really enjoyed that one. Both players teching up very quickly to some high-level units. I love seeing Thors and Broodlords and things like that hitting the field. Infestors, just a nice addition to that Zerg composition that IdrA was using throughout the game. So excellent game 2. And the best part of all is we get to go see a game 3 now between these incredibly good players. So let's go see what happens next.